This chart has just been published and it looks like an absolute crime scene. In the world of digital card games, especially those on mobile phone, we always had the big three: Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Marvel Snap. And for so many years, these games were fighting over every single cent of the player base. But if you look at these numbers for early 2026, Marvel Snap 26 million, Hearthstone 58 million, Master Duel 41 million. And then there's Pokémon Pocket, $669 million. Pokemon somehow made every other game look like a rounding error. It's making 10 times more than Hearthstone and 25 times more than Marvel Snap. What the hell is going on? I seriously don't get it. How did a game that has what can honestly be considered pretty much a baby mode battle system completely demolish some of the most well-respected, complex, and competitive card games on the entire market? If you ask me or any other hardcore TCG card game player, they'll all tell you the same thing, that Pokémon Pocket is way too simple. Marvel Snap has better mechanics, Master Duel has more depth, and they're all right. This revenue, it tells a different story. And this story is one that unfortunately the industry is paying very close attention to. So to understand this almost 700 million in revenue, we need to stop looking at Pokemon as a battle or competitive game and start to look at it more like a casino where kids are allowed. Yeah, there's a reason that this game is banned in the Netherlands. For decades, digital card games have been obsessed with the match. These games spend all their dev time on mana curves, making sure cards are balanced, stack effects, and competitive ladder. And Pokemon just saw this and flipped the script. Because they realized that for some reason, the most exciting part about card games is not playing the game at all. It's not about making a big play, dropping a legendary card, or reading your opponent and outplaying them. It's the most exciting part is the 5 seconds before you see the cards. And it also ties back to something that's called frictionless entry. I'm straight up going to read the textbook definition of this, so here we go. Frictionless entry refers to seamless, rapid access into a space or system, eliminating traditional barriers like fumbling for keys or cards by using technology like biometrics, facial fingerprint, mobile credentials, or license plate recognition for automated verification. It enhances user experience by making entry fast, convenient, and secure. And that is the most important part. Because if you look at a game like Master Duel, you are met with a wall of text on every single card, as well as a 1,000-something card ban list. In Marvel Snap, you're stressed about cubes and snapping at the right time. But in Pokémon Pocket, the first thing you do is this. Every single day, you get 2 of these bad boys. They're free, they're beautiful, and they are specifically designed to trigger a certain part of the brain. And yeah, it also works on me. I want to complete a set. I want to open more packs. I want to see more shiny, beautiful cards. And if it's working on me, it means it's working on some 12-year-old that has access to their parents' credit card. As much as it sucks for people that like playing card games, this gacha-fication is kind of genius. Because Pokémon Pocket even introduced something called the Wonder Pick. This is a social gacha mechanic where you can choose a pack that another player opened, and then face down, you get to choose one of their 5 cards and keep that card. And something like this creates a community around the gambling that Pokémon Pocket already has. It's really exciting, it's all really sparkly, it perfectly hits that dopamine rush that you need, but it's dangerous. Not as dangerous as this thing that Pokémon Pocket has as well called immersive cards. These are the crown jewels of the $600 million month because they aren't static images like every other card, they're like mini dioramas. And of course, they have extremely low pull rates, occasionally or often tied to banners or special events. and you can't reliably target them. So all of that is to say, good luck to your wallet if there is one you want in particular. None of these mechanics that I explained so far help you win a tournament with the money that you're spending. Players are paying for a digital luxury asset. In a way, Pokemon has turned our card game genre into a digital binder genre. Obviously, the whales that are spending money on this aren't doing it to win a tournament or gain a competitive advantage. I don't even think that Pokemon has a ranked ladder that is the level of like Hearthstone or Magic. At the end of the day, Pokemon is proving that the casual player has deeper pockets than the competitive player. While a game like Hearthstone was making sure the ladder was balanced for 1% of the top ladder players, Pokemon was making sure that the other 99% felt like they were only one pack away from their most legendary card pool. The monetization is invisible until it's too late. Most of the time you aren't even buying these cards, but you're buying time. It's a mobile tactic that goes way far back, used by Clash of Clans and Genshin Impact, where Pokemon has something called hourglasses. These let you reduce the time that you need to complete a timer. You can use it to speed up the cooldown of opening your next pack. You can restore this wonder pick stamina, or bypass any other time-gated progress that you might be waiting for. This success, again, is extremely messed up for people that like to actually play card games. Because if Pokemon can make $600 million by just being a digital binder, even if they don't fully use everything that Pokemon's doing, some assets, some tricks, mechanics from how they're making their money are going to trickle down into every other card game released. So to move on to one of the other games on the list, Marvel Snap, they've certainly had some controversies in the past, some that I cannot ignore and I think are also equally disgusting. But at the end of the day, the gameplay of Marvel Snap is extremely tight and entertaining. And for some time, because of this reason, Marvel Snap was the darling of the card game industry. It was fast, it was tactical, and somehow it was still fair. Then you look at that 26.8 million revenue, and that is a pretty big drop from what it used to be at its peak. And to understand why, we really have to stop looking at a card game as a competitive thing, and we need to start looking at it as a grind. And the first culprit of this, in my eyes, is still the aggressive change in monetization. Second Dinner made a promise very early on for Marvel Snap that said you can't just buy all the cards. But by 2025, that kind of changed with their super premium passes and the Kid Omega fiasco, where players had to grind for 40 plus hours to get a single card, or you unlock it with gold, spend real money. This is when the community really reached a breaking point. When you do this and you make a game feel more like a chore, it's not that people just stop paying for the cards, they stop playing altogether. Because while Pokemon gives you 2 packs a day for simply existing, Snap started demanding that you log in every 8 hours to maximize your resource gain, as well as these limited time events where you need to collect or complete quests. And all of that is in a meta where you're playing as other people that will just wipe the floor with you unless you're also playing a tier 1 deck with the cards that are increasingly more difficult and more expensive to get. I play Marvel Snap and I also find it really hard to ignore this sweat factor. I'm just gonna call it that. I have no better name for it. And what that means is that in Marvel Snap, every match matters and has different stakes. And that is because of the snap mechanic, which is a really brilliant design, but it's also just exhausting. When you play a game on Marvel Snap, you can win or lose 1 cube, and you need cubes to climb up a ladder. If you snap, you double the gain of that cube. So from 1 to 2. But then if your opponent snap, it doubles again, going from 2 to 4. At the end of a match, it gets doubled again. So at the most, you can win or lose 8 cubes. And again, it's like this mental drain in a way that it's just not fun to play if you're on the bus and just need to unwind or something. I did my little thing where I go to Reddit and I look at how other people are feeling, and these are some of the funniest comments I could find. So here we go. Basically, I saw multiple people saying they were playing both Snap and Pokemon, but They were saying that they log into Pokemon to relax, and they log into Snap to go to work. And apparently in the attention economy of 2026, relaxation is worth 6-7.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Stress, going to work, is worth only 5% of that. And on top of that, Snap is releasing new cards every single week, sometimes more than one. So at this point, their roster is full of like these C-list and D-tier characters. Like, I'm sorry, I was going to the store and who the hell is Marrow? And why the hell is she in a bundle with this price? You put this character versus someone like, I don't know, Charizard or Mewtwo. You make them immersive and it was never a fair fight to begin with. Snap tried to compete by being a kind of hardcore esport, and Pokemon is simply being a digital hobby. And again, I'm keep coming back to this chart, but as the revenue shows, there are a lot more hobbyists in the world than there are pro gamers. But while Pokemon is printing money and Marvel Snap is finding its footing, there are a couple of games that are kind of holding on somewhere in the middle. I mean, you know, 600 million, 20 million of Marvel Snap. The middle, it's not really here. They're more hanging out like over here somewhere, like just above the bottom. Because again, 700 million, it's ridiculous. But Hearthstone is at 58 million and Master Duel is at 41 million. And again, that looks really small compared to Pokemon. But in the gaming world, these are actually pretty sustainable empires. It needs to be said, they are not surviving by playing the same game as Pokemon. So once again, let's talk about this 12-year-old elephant in the room right now. Because Blizzard made a pretty controversial choice. They realized their standard play in Hearthstone was getting pretty expensive. So they leaned into this new treasure model that we're seeing so many other games do right now. They introduced my least favorite thing in Hearthstone, Dark Moon Fair Treasures. Essentially, this is nothing more than a gambling style event where you can pull for legendary signature cards or pets or any other type of skin that is really hard to get. And every single time, man, it's met with this massive review bomb, but then somehow they still make millions of dollars from it. How does it keep happening? And so by early 2026, according to this chart, Hearthstone is kind of split into this two-way model to sustain themselves. You have this almost free-to-play battlegrounds and standard play. Yeah, you need to buy some packs. Yeah, you get the benefit if you buy the premium or season pass or battle pass, whatever, for battlegrounds. But then again, on the other hand, there is this high-end luxury shop for the hardcore spenders. And my biggest problem with this that I have with so many games, and it really annoys me, is that when a game starts doing this, they're basically admitting to something. They stop catering to new players and they're trying to figure out the perfect monetization to keep their existing players. And these aren't entirely mutually exclusive, but for the most part, when something like this happens, it certainly starts moving into that one direction. And this is, I should need to explain this, an unhealthy sign. And then we have Master Duel. And when somebody asks me why I don't play this game more than I actually do, I always have the same answer for them. Yu-Gi-Oh! Feels like the Dark Souls of card games to me. It's extremely dense, it's super punishing, and it's beyond complicated. But this $41 million revenue certainly does prove one thing. Loyalty is a currency. Because Master Duel definitely doesn't try to be chill like Pokemon, it's embracing this sweat. It's probably the only game on this list where the player base actually embraces the complexity. And yeah, this game survived by just becoming that hardcore niche because they know that their player base isn't leaving for Pokemon, because in Pokemon, you can't set up a 5-turn negate on turn 1. But the real surprise here to me is Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. It launched in June 2025 and immediately jumped to the #2 spot behind Pokemon. And how, you ask me? Well, they did it by basically becoming this anime metaverse. And this game is also banned in the Netherlands, and this time it's not because of their interesting graphics, but because of the gambling laws in the Netherlands. Maybe it's like they realize that if you can't take the Pokemon IP and what makes it successful, you just bring all the other IPs. Because they have collaborations ranging from Freerun to Oshinoko. I don't watch these, I probably pronounced it wrong, I'm sorry. And it is because of this that this game has basically become the Fortnite of card games. It's a 3D social hub where you just happen to play some cards. And once again, it seems like a game realized that to be successful, you need to be more than just a tabletop and deck building, unfortunately. And then to go back another time to why Pokemon is allowed to be so greedy, we should look at the games that tried to be good. For years, Legends of Runeterra was the golden standard. It was the most generous card game ever made. You could literally get a full collection without spending a single dime. If I log into Runeterra right now, as you can see here, I can still craft the next 3 expansions they're surely going to release one day. Maybe not. And so, in early 2024, the world, me included, watched in horror as Riot Games announced that they were sunsetting, cutting all support for PvP. Because the game wasn't making any money. It was a loss leader that eventually just became a loss. And this was not the first, but one of the first warnings. It proves that this generosity is obviously a failed business model for a company. If you can get everything for free, players don't value the cards. I don't blame them because, right here I have a golden prismatic Yasuo, and right here I have a immersive Charizard. One of them gives me depression. The other one could probably pay my rent for the next year. Pokémon Pocket, this Charizard took that lesson and just sprinted in the opposite direction. It's gacha psychology 101. Because this miracle pick alone is just, it works so well. When I tried it and I picked the wrong card and I didn't get anything, I didn't think to myself, oh, well, I lost a random roll. No, I thought, damn, I was so close to picking the right one, I gotta try this again. I made this chart really quickly that has the Runeterra model versus the Pokemon model. So right here, we see the focus at the top. Runeterra focused on competitive integrity. Pokemon focuses on collection dopamine. Then for monetization, Runeterra focused on cosmetics for their cards. Pokemon focused on speed and scarcity. Lastly, the most important one, the player vibe. Runeterra has the vibe of, I want to win my next game. Pokemon has the vibe of, I want that card. It's like we're witnessing the casinofication of card games. Pokemon is absolutely not selling you a card game. It's selling you the pack opening itself as a service. And by limiting you to 2 packs a day, they create this scarcity mindset where you have to come back to get more, unless of course you buy some of those hourglasses so you can open the packs earlier. And this chart, this $669 million revenue might just be the final nail in the coffin for the generous CCG. It sends a message to every single CEO at Blizzard, Konami, Second Dinner, you name it, that's telling the players they don't want a fair card game. They want a beautiful slot machine. And so as long as this $600 million gap exists, it might just be a thing of the past. And so where do we go from here? Because this $600 million gap is staring at me and I just don't think this bubble is about to burst. I used to ask, is this meta good? Is the ladder fair in my videos? But now it's like the industry is asking, does the pack opening feel good? Or can I show this card off to my friends and feel proud of it? Pokémon Pocket didn't win because it was a better or more satisfying game to play. Very, very far from that. Perhaps it won because in a world full of stress, people will pay a lot of money for a simple digital relaxation hobby. It doesn't require any brain power, it requires heart and a little bit of your wallet. The gachification of the TCG is unfortunately complete. Marvel Snap or Hearthstone might survive as the pro choice. Master Duel will survive as the hardcore. But the throne belongs to the Pikachu 3D foil. And honestly, looking at that $669 revenue, I don't think it's ever giving that throne back.